Hello, students. This is Professor Patti, and this is only take two on November 3rd. And I started at 3:33, and that's got to be auspicious that it's going to work out, right? The last one, I was so far in and I got fancy and was switching tabs and was like, FERPA, FERPA, FERPA. It was beautiful. So I hope your semester is coming along great. I'm definitely having all of the fun here alongside you. We're only going to go so far, right? We should be landing here. I have all of the modules open to you because we might be going through some of these to find our helper studio. We're going to try to open our syllabus. If I click on this little arrow, things show up. We have a syllabus review video and then a course syllabus. Let's just open the link. If you are signed in with your CSU email, this up here is my Cleveland State Outlook. This has to be happening. Other tabs have to be opening for other parts of my computer to function. So when there's like a CSU, it makes you log in screen. Sometimes I get all screwy, but this should be fine because I'm signed into my OneDrive. Aren't I? Look at that. I didn't even get two-factor authentication. See, we just have to start on good numbers. Now, blazing ahead in truth, justice, and syllabic joy. This, my friends, is the legal contract of your course. These are the competencies that you do not need to worry about learning because you are going to have every opportunity to say them again and again because this is an accredited program. And let me tell you what that means. You will have the eligibility to sit for an LSW exam in the state of Ohio, which in the state of Ohio, we have for independently licensed social workers, we have 7 states that have agreed that our social work licensure is strong enough, our preparation is good enough that we can just have a collateral license in that state, which is remarkable if you have a telehealth business. So there's now 8 states where you can practice as an independently licensed social worker in the state of Ohio. If you go through a program that trains you adequately in these competencies, which is why in all the assignments, there's all this language prompting you. Now, I am a nerd, a super nerd, and I love language and I love vocabulary and I love poetry. And these are the kinds of outlines that I grew up learning. So all of this, beautiful. They actually changed these competencies since I have been a social worker. Since I have been a social worker, my accredited undergraduate, I had a BSW, LSW, has changed their name. And I don't think they have an accredited LSW program anymore, but my LSW is valid because my program passed competencies, ASWB standards, CSWE standards, which is what this is. These are national standards, and the way that Ohio implements them is laid out in these syllabi. So when professors, when you email us and we're like, go to the syllabus, it's because we don't want to tell you off the top of our head normal language that will confuse you. Which is also why, so this lines up with the competencies, and that's why we have an additional discussion board post that wasn't in here before that's just talking about your social work competencies. It's to acculturate you to the language of social work, because social work exists within assessing humans within their context to see what is internal and what is external, what are strengths, what are needs, and what do we need to be tweaking for a person to achieve their functioning. So we exist within systems, and we often adopt, this is the syllabus of the university, we often adopt the policies and procedures of organizations. Now remember, Human resources organizations are not there to protect you, the humans. They are there to protect the organization from the humans that work for it and to manage the resources the company has, which are human. So it's very easy for social workers to become confused on what their roles, rights, and responsibilities are. So that's why we talk about this and through a social work lens. And when we're going through our assignments, we're asking you not to do other things that many of you are so adept at. That's what we want you doing in an online program, in the discussion boards, in the Zoom discussions you're having when you're organizing the group work. That's why we make you do group work, because we want you to be having these conversations with other social workers. Because I can tell you from experience, when you organize monthly brown bags in the large organizations of just social workers, you will be targeted by HR as having nefarious purposes and rabble rousing. So it's a rare and beautiful treat. And as somebody who does not currently have to pay $150 an hour for training supervision, I treasure social work training supervision for that reason. For that reason, and because I think it's so integral, I do offer training supervision after graduation. I do take on interns. I have therapists who work for me because these competencies continue to change. And as social workers, it's very easy to be pulled into the tasks because there are so many, because there's not enough resources and there's not enough people. So as we're going through this semester and I'm telling you, don't worry about this, don't worry about this, this is why, because I know that we have all of this baked into your program and you're going to have so many opportunities to look at this from these lenses. So thank you. You guys are doing great in the chapters, which come up every week. We've got our helper studio coming up. Okay. Our video recording helper studio activity is due this Friday, November 7th at 11:59 p.m. And I do have a separate video on how to submit those. We've already got some in. Please, for your own skill development, go in and watch them and say, I watched that and I noticed this skill. Just a really simple sentence. We can gush, of course, but it's hard because you're all going to be in there. I want you all to practice as social workers a simple reflection supporting strengths, because you're going to watch the videos with your own eyes, your own objective eyes, not the eyes. I do not want to watch myself on videos and I don't really record them, right? You are going to be watching each other with the eyes of other learners and you're going to say, oh, I see that skill. I just wrote about it in chapter 7. Your chapter 7 reflections, I just got through grading them. Thank you so much. Loved. So that is helper studio activity here. I also don't add the dates in here because this is where I make the most mistakes. And it really, we had enough problems this semester starting. You should be up to chapter 10. So we might be a little bit behind, but that's okay. I don't know what just blooped on me. So helper studio activity is November 7th, and we should be finishing chapter 10. So that means that by this Friday, Monday, November 7th at 11:59, I will expect everything up to chapter 10 to be submitted in Cengage. I'm going to go ahead and double check all of my course links in here and make sure that the correct assignments are open. I just got through grading and it, of course, took so much longer than it was supposed to. And that's okay because we have thinking bubbles within Cengage that sometimes just take a very, very long time. So I will be double checking that. We will be sending out a reminder, a gentle reminder with this email announcement. And I'm giving you guys this week to make sure all the chapter things are all caught up. So I look forward to seeing some helper studios and seeing some responses. Once again, sorry. We do have for our helper studio activity, chapter 1, 3, 7, or 8. Very easy to keep track of. Chapter 1. Helper Studio. Chapter 3. We see it. Is it available? Yeah, we can only see the things that are available. Chapter 3. Helper Studio. Chapter 7. Helper Studio, or chapter 8. I really like chapter 8. I actually did not do a video on this one because I did it and I was not recording. Too many things. So you may choose from those, and please go through and watch. You'll be able to see in there, which I will not open because it's a FERPA violation. But you will be able to see one another's, and you can score if you'd like. I will give each other all 60s. I love it because it's tough figuring out, thinking about it and understanding it and knowing it, and like watching Judge Judy and being, why would you say it that way? Armchair quarterbacking it. Those are very real and different things than putting it into words that are not gimmicky. Oh, hello, toilet. That are not gimmicky, that are not fake, that are not reading off a list, that are not overly gushy, they're not overly emotional. It's really, you're finding your own identity as a social worker. It is a social relationship or social sciences, right? And it's a relationship driven intervention, and you're new at this kind of relationship. So when people go to cotillions and are presented, if they are also married on that day, that's a problem because we have never practiced dating before, right? As a social worker, this is a way that we practice the skills. So we want you to demonstrate the skills of a learner. So in my Helper Studio videos, I put some of the things that I use. I use notes pads. I use reminders. I use a physical notepad. I use a clipboard. I accept stickers. When I go to doctor's appointments with patients, I ask for stickers. And sometimes little kids bring me stickers and they get to pick where they go. And that is extra special for me. So you will find the things that you love to use. I have little scales in here. I have notes from people in here. You will find it. Okay, I've been doing this for 25 years, and many of you, if you're in one of our CSU courses, already have a lifetime of experience of working with humans in other careers, and you are getting ready to use those skills as a social worker. So if you don't have the lingo, great, your clients don't either. And that's very natural for you to say, I want to do this thing where I'm like, ask you all the questions. So give me a moment. What I'm really wondering about is, how are you? You know, that's always a great intervention, right? You can, if all you're doing is like spiraling, that's okay to spell it out because your patient sees the wheels in your head and they're like, oh my gosh, they're going to tell me that I'm crazy. They're trying to soften the blow. Okay. You are in a position of authority, even as a learner. So as a learner, we say, I don't quite have this down. I think what I'm trying to ask you is this. Does that make sense? The best those pedigree trainings I've been to in the world, those are like the personalities behind all those evidence-based practices, are these wonderful clinicians you can't help but like soften around, because they're like, is that landing? You know, they check in for feedback. So when you are recording these videos, it's okay if it's a little unnatural, because as you can see, I detest it because I'm talking to myself. Ew, the worst. So thank you all for, I mean, really wonderful chapter 7 responses. Catch up, and I will be checking in with you again next week, starting November 8th.